And now you got me. All right, so again, this is the Algebra 1 end of course test prep. I am TC Homework Help 180 and Terry Logan. So my name is Terry Logan, but the business is TC Homework Help 180. And we are going to move directly into this warm-up. So last week we did completing the squares, just as a review. The week prior to that, we looked at solving literal equations. So if you were not here and you need help with either of those concepts, there are videos up on YouTube that you can look at. Today we're going to be working with solving inequalities, and we're actually going to graph those inequalities as well. So I'm going to bring the quizzes back over here, and I'm going to go ahead and join so I can roll it. If you are interested, join. If you're not, so I'm going to give a moment. And I'm going to make that a little bit bigger so we can actually see the problems. So this is going to be our warm-up. I believe I put 3 questions in there, and they're all going to be on solving inequalities. I don't think, oh, and that's 465592. Joinmyquiz.com is where you would go for the quizzes, and you would enter the code 465592. See if I can get y'all a good shot. It's a little harder. The video on YouTube is going to be much better because I have it kind of like the best seat in the house type situation. So, all right, nobody's logging in, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Sorry for walking back and forth. My technology is a little off. But where am I? Yeah, I'm starting this. Boom. All right, so we're looking at problem number 1. Solving the inequality. Hopefully you can see that x plus 6 is greater than 100. And I am, for the sake of argument, going to just pick an answer. And my answer was not correct. I did B. I think B is going to be my answer of choice. Now let's look at this question. What I would like to do for each one of these, actually, I can't do that here because it's so dark. So what I would do is come out of this for a little while, and then we'll go over that because this is necessary for the lesson. This is necessary for the lesson. So here is your first one question. X plus 6 is greater than 100. And let's look at how you actually solve that if you were to work that. So you would, in the first video, we actually reviewed solving equations. And that is in essence what you're doing here. You do have to consider your inequality symbol, but you're going to operate and solve as if this were equal, at least initially. There are times when that matters a lot. Right now, it's about solving or getting this x on the side by itself with the implied number 1 in front of it. So we see that there's already an implied 1 or a 1 or no value in front of the x. So we can leave the x alone. However, we need to move this value right here. And we move that value, and we've already talked about that, by taking the opposite operation. So we don't need that plus 6 there. We know that the opposite of addition is going to be subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 6 from each side. So then x is what's left on the left side of the inequality. We leave that symbol as greater than, and 100 minus 6 is 94. So the correct answer, even though I chose B, the correct answer, x is greater than 106, x is not greater than 6, x is greater than 94. This was the correct answer for that particular problem. Okay, let's move on to problem number 2 and see what we can do. Again, since I made this, well, I kind of borrowed it and adjusted it, but my answer choice is still going to be B. Just so you know, just so you know. I'm not over here trying to make sure I get a 100 each time because this is for the sake of learning. All right, so let's keep going. I'm going to close that, and we're going to move on to the next question. And 3, 2, 1, let's go. -3 is less than or equal to 15. Can you see that? Hello, Asia. So hopefully you can see that. That actually looks a little There, it was out of focus. All right, again, I'm picking B because I'm just picking B. I don't know if it's the right answer. It was not the right answer. It was not the right answer. That's okay. And if you would like to join the quiz we are at joinmyquiz.com, and the quiz is code. We do have one more problem, but we're doing the warm up, so it's no biggie if you're not interested. The quiz code is 465592. 465592. Let me see if I can scoot this up so you can see that before I begin to review. Yes, I want to use it anyway. Thank you. 465592 if you're interested in joining. If you're not, I'm going to move on because we're just reviewing. We are reviewing how to solve these problems. So again, I'm pulling that question up, but you can't see it because of the dark background. So I'm going to come back to the PowerPoint, and we're going to go over how you would have solved a problem like that. As we see, I got the incorrect answer. Let's look at number 2. So -3 divided by, -3y is less than or equal to 15. So remember before I said we solve this like we're solving any other equation. So for me, always, it's just I've been doing the math a long time. I like to rewrite the problem. So -3 is less than or equal to 15. So yes, we see multiplication. At least it is my hope that we know that we see multiplication, the operation between a number and a variable. If it's written like that and we see no symbol, is going to be multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication, or the operation we need to use to undo it so that we can solve for y, is going to be division, okay? All right, so what I need to do is to divide each side of the inequality, because we're kind of treating it with, I'm gonna say treat it like an equal sign, but it's just, in this moment, this is actually one of the moments where you have to flip the sign. So you're gonna divide each side of the inequality by -3. Divide this side of the inequality by -3, divide this side of the inequality by -3. These cancel because anything divided by itself, we know simplifies to be +1. We need a +1 in front of that y, so we're done with that part of the inequality. Since we divided by a negative, we automatically flip that symbol. So it was less than or equal to, now it's greater than or equal to. Now it's greater than or equal to. Then we keep the sign. 15 divided by -3, a positive divided by a negative is a negative, is going to be -5. So I chose B. We know that B was not the correct answer. B was not the correct answer because I didn't get it correct. But if we look at our answer choices, we're looking for y is greater than or equal to -5. We can automatically cross out A and B actually in that moment, because 15 divided by 3 is 5. And then it's negative, which means C is the correct answer. Y is greater than, yes, C was the correct answer. So I missed that one. All right, so I am going to go on. Once I figure out where this is, I can erase the board. All right. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast. The next one is going to be a multi-step for us because that's necessary. You will see multi-step equations, and we're actually dealing with the XY values. So all of them are going to be a little bit more complex than what we're seeing right now. Okay, so we have another one on inequalities before we go into the more complex. In 3, 2, 1. Okay. -4x, can y'all see that? I know it's like super tiny, I'm sorry. -4x plus 1 is greater than 21. So if you're there, it is my hope that you are actually trying this problem. I'm just saying. To see which one of those answer choices might, now the answer choice, maybe you need to see the answer choices. The answer choices is x is greater than 120, x is less than 5, x is greater than -5, and x is less than -5. Those are your answer choices for this particular problem. And notice it is a little bit more complex than the ones we've been working with. So at about this time, I am going to answer same answer choice B. Let's see what happens. And I'm still wrong. It happens. All right. That's terrible. Let me go back to the question. Yes, let me go back to the question. Oh, from here, I can go ahead and end this one. They're gonna be like, man, you're terrible. Yes, I want to end the quiz. Yes, I know. No highlights. Oh, they look at them. They still get, oh. They still gave me a crown. I'm so proud. Okay, let's go over that one, shall we? No, internet. I heard you. Okay, chill out. All right, let's go over number 3, and then we're going to move on. So negative 4x plus 1 is greater than 21. Let's look at that, shall we? All right, so this one's a little bit more complex. It's a combination of the 2 problems that we just worked on. I don't need this anymore. So before we had just a variable, so let me rewrite it. Negative 4x plus 1 is greater than 21. We had just a value and something was added to it, and then the second one we had just a value that had multiplication in it. Now we have a complex, so we're going to have to use the opposite operations of addition and subtraction and the opposite operations of multiplication and division to solve this problem. So we start with this value. At least that's where I would begin, because although we can move this, because the goal of solving an equation, inequality, either one of those, when you're looking for what that variable is going to be, is to move everything away from it and then get positive 1 in front of it. So you could move that first. Mathematically you could, but it's going to create fractions, and we don't like fractions like that, so let's not do that. I would encourage us to move this plus 1. Now, if we see plus, we know we need to do subtraction. So I added 1 in order to move that value to the other side of the equation and still inequality, and still keep, I'm going to use balanced, but we're using good mathematical practice. Then I'm going to subtract 1 from each side of the inequality. I'm left on the left side with negative 4x, because positive 1 and negative 1 will cancel. I'm going to put that over here because this is the first time that I haven't seen either of you in a session before. I just want to make sure. This leads to basically 1 minus 1. So plus 1 minus 1, and that equals 0. And that value on this side of the equation, we're not going to write 0. On the other side of the equation, we're going to do 21 minus 1, and that's going to give us 20. From there, we haven't gotten a positive 1 in front of our x value, so we still need to do some more work. But what we see, and hopefully we notice as we're sitting out there, hopefully we notice that that's multiplication. And in order to undo multiplication, I need to divide something on each side of the equation, making sure that I'm keeping my inequality, not equation, on each side of the inequality, good mathematical practice. So I'm dividing each side of the inequality by negative 4 because that's the value in front of your x value. You don't want to divide each side by 20 because there's actually no operation there for you to do that. This is a positive 20. The best you could do is subtract it from each side of the equation. Because there is something here that we can undo, that's where we begin. So 20 divided by 4. I'm coming over here because that's getting a little low. Negative 4 divided by 4 is going to simplify to be 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So on the left side of the inequality, we have x. We flip that symbol. So similar to the previous problem. Anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, you're going to flip the symbol when you're dealing with inequalities. It's not an issue with equalities. It is an issue and something that you have to remember when you're dealing with inequalities, okay? So you divide it by a negative 4, and I forgot to put that sign right there. You divide it by a negative 4. That simplified to be 1. That leaves you with 1x. Now, we don't write that x, but again, since this is my first time seeing you, I'm going to do that because negative 4 divided by 4 is 1. It's just mathematically we don't write that x. So 1x and x are the same values. Those are equivalent. You will almost always see it this way when it comes to an assessment, when it comes to simplification, when it comes to tests and things of that nature. All right? Now, and I wrote the wrong symbol. Ooh. Oh, no, I didn't. We were supposed to flip it. I was right. I'm sorry. 20 divided by negative 4 gives us negative 5. And so we are looking for the answer choice that has x is less than negative 5, which is not A, nope, not B, not C. The correct answer is D as in dog. So that is the warm-up, because what we're looking at is actually graphing. And I want to make sure to stay in my time. 15 minutes. That was perfect for a warm-up, actually. All right, so now let's look into what you will see on the end of course test. Because you're not, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see a simple inequality like that. Just bottom line. Unless it's a word problem that's being taken into an inequality, you're not going to see an inequality like that. Just saying. So what will happen though. Oh, now if that wasn't enough, this is the first time you've seen me, you are sitting in Algebra 1 and you need a little bit more explanation on inequalities, especially because today we're going to be doing some when is the line dotted, when is the line solid, all of that information. If you need more than that, I do have a video available right now that gives a nice review on that, and if you need more than that, then let me know. Look for now on Instagram, I have the pictures of the problems that's in the warm-up. On YouTube, I have the video where I'm working the problems that are in the video. So on IG, you can see the problems. So if you want to practice, go to Instagram, practice the problems. Then if you just want to test to see what you did correctly, what you did incorrectly, watch the video and look at the solution. That's the best way to do it, because that way you'll know what you did right, what you did wrong, so on and so forth. All right, let's keep moving. So again, you're looking for the Algebra 1 final exam review, 11 through 15 that's the section I used, inequalities. So let's move on to some more inequalities though. Let me make sure y'all can see that and that's somewhat focused. Again, I apologize. This is just, ooh, you can turn your phones. Okay, no, that might be too much. This is why I need help, but anyway. All right, so let's look at 4x plus 2y is less than 22. Now, I love y'all, and I know you're like, ma'am, you don't know me, stop lying. The spirit of the person. We're going to go through this by hand. We're going to go through this using decimals.com. And so it's going to seem like it's going to take a minute, but it's because now the truth of the matter is I know on Algebra 1, you have a part of the test where you can use a calculator and a part of the test when you cannot use the calculator. I'm pretty sure you have access to the graphing calculator, but I'm not sure. So I don't want to show you all of the features in decimals.com and then you're not actually able to compute it yourself. And you get to like the PSAT, for example, that has a no calculator section, and you get something like this, and then what do you do? Because you have no idea how to work it. So we have to do it both ways, and I apologize in advance. All right, now let's go to solve this. We are going to sketch the graph by hand, I know, and then we're going to use decimals.com, which is going to be so much easier, but that's okay. I need you to understand the concept. So we are looking at, in essence, a line. So for all intensive purposes, right now we are working with y equals mx plus b. We're trying to get this inequality in the form. Now, is it inequality? So if we just want to be like, oh my God, it's an inequality, then we're going to do y, and it's either going to be less than, greater than, less than or equal to, it depends on what our problem is calling for, mx plus b. What we need to do is we need to be able to graph the line. We need to be able to determine what is the slope of the line. We need to be able to determine what is the y-intercept of the line, because once you know that information, then you apply the inequality of whether it's greater than or less than. Is it dotted? Is the line dotted or solid? Do I shade up or do I shade down? But prior to all of that, we need to properly graph the line. That will help you choose your answer choices sometimes as well, because if the line is graphed incorrectly, that can't be the answer. Moving on. So for our equation, inequality, for this problem, how about that? How about I just say that? For this problem, we need to manipulate it so it gets into the form of, and I'm going to put less than just because that's where our symbol is, but do understand that if we perform an operation such that I need to flip, that may change. But we're trying to get it into this form. Okay, so I'm erasing this because I need the space. All right. All right, so we're going to start. I'm not going to rewrite because there's not a lot of space for me to work. The goal, I need a y on the side by itself. Boom. And I need everything else over there on the other side. What do I do? So that means this x term has to move. Right now, if you don't see a sign in front of it, then you assume that that is a positive value. So this is a plus 4x. In order to move that to the other side, I have to use that opposite operation, right? So plus minus, multiplication, division. We right now need to move that, so I'm going to subtract that 4x from each side of the inequality. Now, although I lined that up, remember your like terms. We haven't talked about that today, but remember like terms. On the left side of the equation, positive 4x minus 4x is going to be 0. We're not going to write a 0. We're going to move on. What's left on the left side is 2y. It is still less than because we haven't performed any operation that will cause us to flip the symbol, okay? Now, these are not alike. If they're not alike, I can't combine them. So I have to write negative 4x plus 22, and that's what's on the right side of our equation. Inequality. All right, next, do we have a y on the side by itself? We have the y value on the side by itself. Is there a positive one or an implied one in front of that y? No, there is not. How would we do that? Well, we see multiplication. We need to divide because I need to make this part of the expression 1 or the implied one. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. Now, it is equivalent for you to take this whole side by 2 or to take each value and divide each value by 2. Whatever's going to make you most comfortable when you're solving the problem, do that. But you are dividing each piece by 2 so that you're keeping everything equivalent. 2 divided by itself is y. We did not divide or multiply by a negative, so we leave our symbol the way it is. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2x, and then positive 22 divided by 2 is 11. So our equation, inequality, our inequality is y is less than negative 2x plus 11. So I'm gonna, hopefully that wasn't too fast. Y'all haven't said nothing in the chat, have you? No, so we're good, okay. I'm gonna write that up in the corner because we're gonna sketch the graph of that. Y is less than 2x plus 11. Okay, y is less than negative 2x plus 11. And we are gonna go to, and then we also have, oh, I done wrote on the wall. Oh, y'all, I wrote on the wall. Plus 2y is 22, okay. Ooh, I'm getting in trouble. Anyway. All right, let us, what are we doing? Oh, next slide. We're sketching this graph. All right, let's sketch the graph. So hopefully you have learned to graph using the y-intercept and the slope. Our slope is equal to negative 2. If you have not, we're gonna go over that. And our b is equal to 11. Now, how do we know that? Let me erase this mess and put it where we can see it. If our equation is y equals, not equals, it was y less than, right? Y less than negative, our inequality, negative 2x plus 11, right? This is the general, that's not the word, mx plus b. Standard, that might be standard form. No, slope-intercept form, right? And that's with your symbols in it. This is with the actual numerical values. So if you're looking for the slope or the m value, it's the value that's in front of your x. If you're looking for the y-intercept or the b, then that is the value that's added to the x part of the expression, the x term, okay? So you graph your b value. If our b or our y-intercept, we know this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, right? And if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then these are in increments of 1. Okay, so I'm gonna go up to 11, and this is the y-intercept or the point where my graph crosses the y-axis. I'm going to then use the slope, which although my slope is negative 2, I'm going to rewrite that as a fraction. It's a whole number, so negative 2 over 1. And I'm going to use the slope to graph the next point. So if it is going to be negative, that means I need to take into consideration the negative direction. So if it's negative 2, then down 2, and positive 1, right 1, as far as how you use the slope to graph. You start at your y-intercept, go down 2, right 1, and connect the dots. I don't have a ruler, oh my goodness. Yes, sir. Okay, once you do that, connect the dots. You don't have to do more than 2 points unless you just really want to, as far as sketching the line, especially if you have to do it by hand. And in most cases, you all won't have to do it by hand. I just need you to have a concept of what's going on. Next, is my line dotted or solid? Is my line dotted or solid? How do I know that? Well, I know that by looking at my symbol. If it is greater than or less than, it's going to be dotted because that's not how you spell that. Because that's not inclusive of the values on the line. If it is greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, it's going to be solid because it actually includes the values on the line. So again, on the sketch, then we need to make sure that our graph has a dotted line. Where do we shade? Where do we shade? So we still haven't finished our solution. I know, we're still going. And then watch what happens when we go to Desmos.com, but we're not gonna talk about it anyway. We're gonna keep moving. Next, I would say pick a point. To me, that's the easiest thing to do. I would pick a point on each side of the line. I see that this point is either going to be in the solution or not in the solution. If it does work in my line, if that's a yes, then you shade there. If it's a no, then you don't shade on this side of the line, you shade over there. So that testing point is going to let you know what works. So let's try the point. So this point right here, if I started at the origin, I don't go to the left or the right, and I go up 5, so that's 0, 5, right? All right, so 0, 5, the x is 0, the y is positive 5. So if this is a part of the solution, then that will make this inequality true. So if y were 5, this should be less than -2 times the x value of 0 plus 11. So 5 is less than 0 plus 11. 5 is less than 11. It does check. 5 is indeed less than 11. So what that means to you is shade on this side of the inequality, or this side of the line. Now, if that would not have been true, and for the sake of argument and for the sake of learning, being conscious of my time because I don't have a whole bunch of it, let's look over here. Let's say we looked at, and I'm picking points that are clearly on one side or the other of this line. 5, 5, 10. I know that's gonna make our numbers big. That's why I really didn't want to do that, but that's okay. So x is 5, y is 10. That works. So if 10 is our y, less than -2 times our x is 5 plus 11. 10 is less than, that's -10 plus 11, and 10 is less than +1. Is that true? That's not true. That's false. 10 is greater than. So since that does not work, then that's not a part of the solution. So just with respect to what you do, if you have to do that by hand, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It really depends on which test you're looking at. Now let's go to Desmos.com and let us do this in a way that is, if you have, yeah, you can see most of that. If you are on an assessment, like if you're taking a test, then I would not spin my wheels too much. I would use my graphing calculator function to help me out. So once you know you're looking, let's say you are asked to find the graph. Okay, the original equation was, let me just go back for a moment. The original equation was -4y, oh no, that's the next one. Yeah. 4x plus 2y is less than 22. All right, let's come over here and let's pull Desmos out. Because if you have a graphing calculator, utilize it to help you, okay? I would not, just put that in. So what did I say? 4x plus 2y. Yes, I know, I just had a moment. It's less than 22, let me be sure. Yep, 4x plus 2y is less than 22. So let me erase so that we can see what's happening. Put that into Desmos. Put that into Desmos and see what happens, because you can do all of that with Desmos. 4x plus 2y less than 22. There's your graph. Y'all can see that? Y'all can see that. Okay, so if you have a graphing calculator, go ahead and help yourself out. Do that. Throw it in there. If they're asking you to find the answer choices, now what you do need to make sure to do is make sure that check your intercepts, check the direction of the shading, and as you see, that's exactly what happened in our graph. It was shaded down. This is where it was. Boom, we good. And that is the same equation. Let me show you. Let me also add that, because that's not the equation that we did. We did y is less than So you see that it's going to be the same thing because they're going to overlap. 2x, negative 2x plus 11. Because I don't want y'all to think I don't know what I'm talking about. So if you noticed, same line. So just in different forms. So as long as you have done your math correctly, then you'll be good. All right, so let's come taking decimals off of this one. Let's look at another example, and hopefully you're able to work through this one with me. So this one is similar. You're looking at example number 2, negative 4y is greater than or equal to 12x plus 8. We're going to do the same thing. We should be able to move a little bit quickly, a little bit quicker than we did before, but we're going to do the same thing as what we just did, with the exception of, boom, hopefully you see it. We've got this big negative right there that does something to this symbol. Automatically, when we're dividing by that negative, it does something to that symbol. It's going to flip it. Now, we are going to remember that what we're trying to get, and this is where I was doing all that talking earlier, like, okay, I might flip the symbol. The symbol we see now, because initially we're trying to get y is greater than or equal to the mx plus b form so that we can actually graph it. Graph this inequality. But given the operations, that may change, and it will for our problem, so let's get going. All right, so we see that there's an operation between the negative 4y, the negative 4 and the y, and that is multiplication. We undo that by dividing by negative 4. So I'm going to take each value, and again, you can either take this whole side divided by 4, you still will ultimately be dividing each piece by 4, so as long as you understand that conceptually, we're good. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 simplifies to positive 1. We're left with just y. Remembering, because we divided by that negative, we now need to flip that symbol and it becomes less than or equal to. 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3x, and 8 divided by negative 4 gives us negative 2. So this is our line. Inequality. Well, no, that's our line. And then we're going to do what's necessary to determine what the inequality is. So y is less than or equal to negative 3x minus 2. Let me write that down. See, told you it's going to take a little less time. Y is less than or equal to negative 3x minus 2. Do we want to write that? No, because we needed to solve. You needed to solve. All right, we're going to graphing. We're going to sketch it by hand, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to decimals. All right, so we know that we need our slope. I don't know if that's a good color for y'all. We need our slope. Our slope is negative 3. In order to graph using your slope, change that to a fraction of negative 3 over 1. We'll talk about it in a second. We need our y-intercept. B, that's the y-intercept, where your graph crosses the y-axis. Our B is negative 2. I like that negative. I like that negative because that gives us a little bit something different to do. Before we started at the origin and we went up. For our B, or our y-intercept, this time we start at the origin and we go down. 1, 2 points, we place a point. From here, we use the slope to actually graph the second point. Same thing. If we want the line to have a negative slope, which means it falls from left to right, then we're going to go in the negative direction of down 3, right 1. Now you could also, which will ultimately give you something negative, you could go up 3 and left 1, because this is the positive and this is the negative, and we know that a positive divided by a negative is still a negative. So for this one, I'm going to go up 3, 2, 3, left 1, and put that point. If I did this one, I would go down 1, 2, 3, right 1, and you see I still have a straight line. Let's see if I can find that ruler. Connect my dots. Determine if my line should be dotted or solid. Let's go. Okay, connect those dots. So that is my straight line through those points using the y-intercept and the slope to graph. Now, based upon this symbol, should this be a dotted line or should that be a solid line? It should be a solid line, and hopefully that's what you said, because of the equal to, less than or equal to. Now the question is, do I shade left? Do I shade right? Up, down. Some people say up, down. When the line is like this, to me it looks like left. I don't know which one is up and which one is down. This is the left shade. This is why I just pick a point. And given that the origin is clearly on one side of the equation, which will make the math super easy, 0, 0. If that works, that's the solution. If it doesn't work, shade in the opposite direction. Let's see what happens. So 0, oh no, here's our inequality. Y is less than or equal to negative 3x minus 2. So 0 is less than or equal to negative 3 times 0 minus 2. 0 is less than or equal to 0 minus 2. Is 0 less than or equal to negative 2? That is not true. 0 is greater than negative 2. So since this does not work, we shade here to the solution, to the other side. And it is solid, which means it includes all of the points on the line as well. Now let's go to Desmos and graph that. And then we are going to move on to some multiple choice type questions, because all of the questions in this video or in this session were created from a study guide from the EOC. And so these are actually questions that you would see, or like the questions that you would see, because I want you to be prepared. I want you to be prepared. What was our equation? Negative 3x minus 2, that's what it was. So if you have access to a graphing calculator and you have to do it, you do not have to do it by hand, then you would absolutely just do y is, oh, do they have symbols? Now for Desmos, can y'all see that? Y'all can, okay, good. For less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, where's my cursor? There it is. Come down here, hit that keyboard. I believe most, if you're sitting in the class right now, most of you know this, but you hit that keyboard. I believe we had less than or equal to, and that's where that symbol will be, negative 3x plus 2. Yep, bam, love it. Take that back down and you'll see the black solid line, and you will see that it is shaded to the left, and that's exactly what we sketched. So if you have access, yes, please use your graphing calculator tool, because it is so helpful for you. It is so helpful for you. It will help you get through a lot, and it will help you conceptually. All right, now let's look at this multiple choice one. It would be like super great. I'd be super geeked if you all would like. Can I see your comments? I don't know if I can see your comments, but take a minute and A, B, C, or D. A, B, C, or D. Which one of those best represents the solution for y is less than negative 1/3 x plus 3? Give you a minute. I am going to now. I'm not graphing this by hand. Nope. We are going to do a couple of things. We're going to go to Desmos first. So let's go ahead and go. Oh, and plus, yeah, it's 540. All right, let's go ahead and go to Desmos. And all we're going to do is type in the problem. Now, this is you're sitting in a test, I'm drawing a blank, what do I do? Oh my God, because it happens. I have absolutely gotten in the test and forgotten everything I've known before, and I failed. It is what it is. Had to retake it, I passed it eventually, but there are times that you forget, there are times that you use what you know. So, a couple of things that we can look at and know. First, we have a less than symbol. That means that the line needs to be dotted. So that's one of the first things that you can look for, because we know that does not include the solutions. Okay, is all of the lines dotted? Yeah, I can't eliminate any answer choices. Next, I know that I have a negative slope. Okay, so if I know I have a negative slope, I may not know where my graph needs to cross the axis, but what I do know is that it should fall. So it should be falling from left to right. So as I look at the picture from here to here, does my graph fall? Positive slopes do the opposite. Positive slopes from left to right, you will see them rise. So because I have a negative number in front of my x, this is in this form of y equals mx plus b, or y is less than mx plus b. I didn't write that correctly. This is my slope, it's negative. Then I need to look for the graphs where the slope is falling. Well, this one, the slope is falling. So this could be the answer. Maybe, I don't know yet. This one can't be, that's a positive slope. This one could be, I don't know, maybe. This one can't be, positive slope. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, boom. I don't know nothing else. I forget to go to Desmos. If you guess, you at least have a 50% chance of getting the correct answer at this point. Now, we're going to get the correct answer because we're going to go ahead and go to Desmos. We're not going to play those games. We're going to graph it. And we also know how to sketch it, but I'm not going to go that far. We're just going to use our technology. So I'm erasing all of this. You remember what the possible answer choices are. And we're going to Desmos, and we're going to graph y is less than negative 1/3 plus 3, and then we're going to come back. Because we're going to look at the other things that we know. Because we also know that y-intercept. Oh, you know what? I ain't going to. Negative 1/3 x plus 3. Less than. Let's come over here. Go back. I'm bringing Desmos back for you. And we have y is less than. Let me see. Y is less than negative 1/3. All right. Where's my fraction key? Negative 1 divided by. There we go. 3x. Was it plus 3? I think it was plus 3. Boom. There's our picture. So this is what we should see. Looking at, paying attention to. Now, what I don't like, let me see if I can zoom out. There we go. Boom. That's what I want to see. All right. Because I wanted to show where the increment is of 1. So 1, 2, 3, you see that and I love, can y'all see that I hovered over that? And that is actually 0, 3 as the y-intercept. So we know that we're looking for the graph where our graph crosses at positive 3 and it is shaded below the line. So here's a clear above and below. But anyway, we won't go there. But that's what we're looking for. All right, cool. So let's go back. And negative slope. So now we're going to look at our answer choices because we just went to Desmos, we graphed it, we're sitting in the test. Now, I remember I did some process of elimination, and it can't be B and it can't be C, so it's either going to be A or D. Which one goes through positive 3? That's what makes the difference. Well, if we look at A goes through negative 3, and if we look at B, and I don't know if you all can see my cursor. So, okay, boom, let me get up, I'm sorry. No, we know this has a positive slope, this has a positive slope. We're looking for which one goes through positive 3. Positive, this is the origin, so 1, negative 1, negative 2. This one goes through negative 3, which is why it cannot be the answer. But if you look at this one goes through positive 1, 2, 3, positive 3. D is the correct answer for the graph. And it is shaded below. So that's the one we're looking for. All right, let's do one more. And then I will be done with inequalities for the day, I think. Yes, I have a little final quizzes, but I usually share that one on Facebook. All right, let's look at the last problem. Oh, I haven't taken shades off. Oh well, let's keep them off. It bothered me. Oh, that was for work. All right, let's look at one more. Let's look at one more problem. We're looking at the graph that represents negative 12x minus 4y greater than or equal to 8. Now, we do not have to solve this. We don't, not if we have a graphing calculator. Now, remember, if you do not, that is where okay, let's go. We're gonna go the Desmos route first. And then we're gonna go, oh, I've got to change that to a 4. If you do not have a calculator and you don't know how to solve this equation, it happens, this inequality. So let's go first to graphing. So negative 12x minus 4y is greater than or equal to 8. So negative 12x minus 4y is greater than or equal to 8. Negative 12x. All right, cool. We have not solved minus 4y. 4y is greater than 8. We have not solved. We don't know. We forgot. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Now, again, if you have technology, then that's going to help you. to at least get to a certain point. So boom. If you don't know how to solve for y, for example, so I can't get it into y equals mx plus b or y greater than or equal to mx plus b form, but I do know how to graph it, throw it into the graphing function, and then look at your points. So I'm looking at the graph, and remember your features. So remember your features, the important features that you're going to look for. It's shaded left. So it's first, it's solid line. Shaded left. The y-intercept is -2. So b equals -2. Now, if I really wanted to, I can also go with my slope, but that's not necessarily helpful. Let's go x-intercept. That might be more helpful. X-intercept, or where it crosses the x-axis, that, I don't know, that looks like about +1, but it's not directly on it. Let me hover. Let me see. Because right now you're taking, oh no, that's not even -1. Oh, I knew it too. Anyway, but this is -2. So let's go with that. And then let's see if that's enough information for us to identify the correct answer. B is -2, solid line, shaded down. Oh, let's get this over here. All right, now, utilizing the information that we just pulled out of the graph. So we graphed our equation exactly as we see it. We know that we had a solid line, so our answer choice should have a solid line. It should be shaded. Ooh, look what I did. Did I make a mistake? Oh, y'all don't be mad at me. I must have solved it incorrectly. The answer choice is not there. Oh, God, I love myself. All right, so that will never happen on the test. Let me just make sure I'm not tripping. That will never, ever, 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 ever happen. -12x minus 4y is greater. Yeah, I put it in correctly. I don't know what I was graphing last night when I created this lesson. Oh well. Not oh well. How do I fix that real quick? We're gonna end the show. Not because we ending the show. No. I need to actually let y'all choose. Let me bring this over here for a second. Let me correct that because the answer choice was not there. And that's not cool. Let's see what happens if I do that. Sorry, y'all. Normally I'm pretty on. It won't take long. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. All right, let's try that again. Forgive me, let me put some answer choices that are more appropriately challenging. All right, boom. Let's come back. So I had to correct myself real quick. It happens. I am human, and I didn't have the answer choice there initially, but I do now from the current slide. We are still working on the same problem. You know what? I'm not gonna be, I've already took too much time. I'm not gonna change this. That's supposed to be a number 4. Okay, so we had solid line, shaded left, B, -2. All right, shaded left, and B, lowercase b, and B is -2. All right, so if we look, we have a couple of things that we can eliminate. And again, sorry for the delay. I had to correct something, and I had to do it in that moment. All right. Solid line. We saw that from the graph. So we look at our answer choices. These two answer choices have a dotted line, can't be the answer. Now, if those would have been solid, then I have to keep using my other means to graph to actually find the answer. Shaded left. So because of the positioning of our line, it's kind of clear what the left and the right is and not the up and the down. If it were up and down, I would struggle. We've eliminated 2 answer choices. Now let's go to A and B. We're looking for the one that's shaded left. That is B. And our y-intercept is -2. A does have a y-intercept of -2. So if we had started there, then that would have not, well, it still would have been in the running. And it was until we shaded left. This one, the y-intercept is -2. So then this becomes the correct answer choice again because of that shaded. Now let's say you don't have the graphing function and you do draw a blank and you're like, oh my God, what do? I don't know how to solve this problem. I'm just gonna skip it. No, don't just skip it. You have some information. If you look, this one, I would pick a point. So this point right here is -1, 2, 0. So -2, 0. -2, 0 is not a solution of this one. It is not a solution of this one. And it is not a solution of this one. Now, why would I use that point? Because if -2, 0 works, because it is a solution of B, then I eliminate all 3 of these by using this one method. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, cool. I forgot how to solve this problem, but I do understand the concept of an inequality. Whatever this value is, it has to be bigger than or equal to 8 if I substitute in an x in any x and y value that's in the solution. So, -2, 0. If it works, that's the answer. A, C, and D are eliminated immediately. So let's try it. So either it will work, that's the answer, or it will knock out all of the other answers. Okay, cool. So -2 is our x, 0 is our y. We started at the origin, just a little quick graphing review. Graphing points, that is. You start at the origin, you go to the left or to the right. Since we went to the left 2, that's where that -2 came from. And since we did not go up or down, that's where that 0 came from. So our x is -2, the y is 0. So for x, I'm gonna put, -12 times -2 minus 4 times 0 greater than or equal to 8. So if this value ends up being bigger than or equal to 8, so if this is a yes, then this number is in the solution, which means this is the only answer choice that works. Because it's not a part of the solution here. Not in the solution, not in the solution, not in the solution. Let's see. -12 times -2 gives us a +24. -4 times 0 is 0. I'm not gonna write that. That's 0. Should I write that? 0 greater than or equal to 8. 24 is greater than or equal to 8. That is true. Since that's true, it eliminates this one, this one, this one. B is the answer choice. So it's always good to know more than one way to solve a problem. It is always good to know more than one way to solve a problem. And I would encourage you to use whatever method works best for you. All right, so because of time, we only have 6 minutes. I am just going to post the end quizzes, but I will start it for you. Let me start it. And as I start the end quizzes for you to test your knowledge, and I will post that in a minute. If you have any questions, if there are any, I will figure it out. I don't see anything in the chat. But we are near the end. If you come up with a question later, I'm on Instagram. I will post this. Well, this is gonna post anyway. But I will, oh, you can't see that? Sorry, y'all. Woo, let me get it together. All right. Boom, now. That is just while I get this quiz going. So, if you have any questions, appreciate you all for joining me. Thank you so much. Hopefully you learned something. I don't know. I really hope that you did. If you have any questions, then see me on social media and let me know what's up. Comment to this video. If it's something that I can do a video for you that I have not already done, then please let me know. I will do so. If it's something that I can answer right now, I know it's going to be kind of difficult to ask a question on IG, you know. So here's your information for the closing quizzes. I didn't start it. I don't know if you all can see that. I'm gonna post it though. But thank you so much for joining me. So let me say my goodbyes because that's it. If there are no questions and I don't see anything happening, thank you so much for your time. I will post the link for it's like a little 10-question test yourself, your knowledge of inequalities and the graphs of inequalities, because that's kind of where we were going today. I will post that on Facebook for sure because it'll be easy for me to share the link there. So I'm going to share that link on Facebook. And I will post a video for this probably today or tomorrow, probably today, just to go ahead and get that up and going. And next week, we will be looking at regression, I believe. Linear regression, I believe. But thank you so much for your time. Please subscribe. Please share with anyone that you know who might need help with math, especially if you feel like I explained it in a way that they could understand. I appreciate you and have a wonderful remainder of your day. See y'all later.